So this is our old historic gymnasium that we've been in the process of slowly trying to save. We've completed 2 major phases of the project. We're doing the work on the bottom side today. Let me show you the inside real quick. Been with the channel for a while, you're probably familiar with this project, and you're probably wanting some updates on it. Don't really have a lot of updates on it. This is the inside of the old gymnasium. We've got some cables across here. Phase 1, we put in all these temporary supports and these beams. This is a Gothic style arch barn, and they're laminated arches. They built those on the floor, and then they stood them up whenever they built this thing. There used to be a school in this community. Well, the school's no longer here. It's been torn down decades ago, but this old gymnasium hung around. We bought this off of Dirt Perfect with the intention of saving it and putting some kind of office space, recreational space in here, specifically for YouTube purposes. So we've nicknamed it our world headquarters, which we're a small channel, so we don't really have a world headquarters, but it's fun. It's a fun thing to say. So getting that up and stabilized was phase 1, so it wouldn't collapse on itself. And that's been holding up fantastic. This is why we call it the gymnasium, by the way. That's what it was. It was a gymnasium. See how the top side looks. If you're wondering when this all gets replaced, we'll replace all that with metal. That'll be phase 4. Phase 2, we did a whole bunch of clearing down on this bottom side, removing a big tree, a bunch of other trees, and expanding this, reinforcing this, and stabilizing this bank with some riprap so that you have room to work for what will be phase 3. Phase 3 will be replacing this concrete wall. Part of phase 1 was pouring these concrete buttresses on the outside to help keep this wall from falling outwards. This is what the inside looks like on the bottom. It is storage for us. It's just a big storage building. And everything's kind of crammed towards the front and the center. As you can see, all the stuff we're storing down here. Projects we're working on, projects we want to work on, things we want to save, things we're saving for other people. But there's a tremendous amount of trash and everything laying around the outside. So also included in phase 1 was getting all that trash picked up and trucked out. Well, now that all the trash around the outside of this is picked up and gone, we want to get all the stuff we're storing shoved all the way around the outside so that the middle section and everything along that wall is cleaned up and exposed, so that replacing that wall will be much easier because then it's not, covered up with junk. As far as the time frame for when we'll replace that wall, we'll talk about that at the end of the video. And the idea is to get the skid steer in here so we can get some of this stuff moved around to the outside of the wall. That is the goal. Before we jump into that, we're gonna go back in time to a couple days ago because I had to problem solve and solve an electrical issue on the skid steer. We'll see. Spoiler alert, we figured it out because there it is sitting outside. And once we get that fixed, we'll come back to current time, see if we can't get this situated how we want. This is an older Thomas skid steer that a gentleman graciously gifted us, and it's actually come in pretty handy, but it does have a few minor issues that we're trying to address. As you can tell by the science experiment we've got going on here, we got a battery starting issue, and I'm not 100% sure what it is. If it's the battery, the alternator, sometimes it starts hard because it feels like the drive motors are engaged even though they're in the neutral position. Point is, there's something goofy going on. We're gonna try to get to the bottom of it today. I didn't plan on making a video on this, so if you're watching it, what a surprise for both of us, huh? Has anybody seen my multimeter? I just had it in my hand. Did you guys do something with my multimeter? Here it is, you did. You put it over here. If I'm problem solving something, I wanna know everything that's going on with what I'm working on. So I'm first just gonna make sure this battery's got good voltage. At least make sure my truck alternator is doing what it is supposed to do. There we go. 14 volts. The creators of the old Thomas skid steer had a genius idea. They've got a positive lug right here, and then of course you can just clip anywhere on. You can go right there for ground, right there for ground. Since they always bury the batteries on these things, they made a place where you can jump it. So we're just gonna make sure that power we're putting into this to jump it's actually making itself through. 13.8, we're getting a little lost, but we're there. So knowing what I've got to that point, I wanna uncover this battery and see what we're getting from there to the battery. The thought process is pretty simple. This is just gonna confirm if I've got a bad connection somewhere along the way. Okay. Nope, it does. It just slides out. Okay. Well, that's not a battery. That's not a battery at all, but we may need to be in here. Is it in that top secret compartment right there? I bet it is. We're gonna stay right here though, because this may be where we need to make some adjustment. Whenever we go to start this thing, it lurches for some reason. So I'm thinking, this looks like the place we need to be. Yeah, there's a little play there. So I'm in the neutral position now. There's no pressure forward or back. See where the valve's at though? It's not. That. That's the neutral position, what it feels like in the handle, but you can see where the valve's at. So I'm wondering if that's why we get the hard starts sometimes too, because it's always got a little pressure on it. What does that do and how does it operate? I do think that is my jolting problem. There's a cable running off that. Runs to that. These little, I'm gonna call it a cam, comes off that rod. That would have to lift up for whatever this is to engage, and these little bars, they're just on springs right there. And this little cam holds that down low enough to where it doesn't engage that. Let's see if we can figure out where that cable goes. I'm betting it's supposed to go to the lap bar. So there's a cable in the back there, it's disconnected. I'm betting if that cable is hooked up, it would function that. And I understand why they disengage the lap bar, I get that. The seatbelt safety does still work, so if the seatbelt's not engaged, you can't do any work. I'm not against having the lap bar hooked up though. So let's re-hook that up and see if that will function that for us, and if that will force these into neutral. Because that way, if they come up, we can wiggle it until it sits down in there like it's supposed to, and maybe that will take the pressure off the engine and it'll be able to start easier. Maybe. I mean, worst case scenario, we're just a little safer, you know? It looks like they were just cut. You can see the little end there. There's not a lot of extra cable room to work with. Before we get too carried away, look at here. Here's the battery. How handy. So we're getting 13 volts to the battery. Three-year-old battery. It's not too crazy old. I want to do it like this. That's definitely what it is. I can see that cable up there. Anyway, see how those kind of sprung up now? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Now I move it, it wiggles it, and those caught up, and now they're, in theory, in neutral they're supposed to be. I'm guessing that'll take the lurch problem out of it. I say we take the grounds off and clean them up real good, put it all back together. We're getting 13 at the battery and we're putting out 14 at the truck, so somewhere. Didn't really see a big difference. We're still about 13 everywhere. If I go from this ground up to the positive on the starter right there, 13. It seems like all the connections are okay. The only other thing I don't know for sure, maybe the starter solenoid is acting up, so it's not closing enough, or it's just worn out and we're not getting full voltage through the starter. That's certainly a possibility. Connect the battery real quick. Let's go ahead and take both of them off. There we go. Bendix seems free. Somebody else's multimeter do this? It's in the sun. I'm picking up a volt doing nothing. But if I put it in the shade, 0. A volt? What is this? What is the science? That in the shade behind you guys there. Just to make sure we're actually getting power through here. Oh yeah, 13 volts to here. Well, solenoid seems to be working. And you can tell that just like that, she's spinning it fine. So I ran to town real quick and had that battery tested. It was a 22 and we had good voltage, but clearly some of the cells were bad because we were not getting hardly any cranking amps out of it when we tested it. And I actually got a little bit bigger battery. I think it'll fit in there okay. I kind of measured. I looked at it and said, nah, I mean, probably, why wouldn't it? A couple hundred more cranking amps and a little bit more reserve. So that'll probably be better for us anyway, especially at the winter months coming up. So as long as it fits in that spot, we'll get this thing hooked up and see if that is our electric woes for getting this thing started. Oh yes, like a glove, look at that. Beautiful, he fits great. Okay, beautiful. As far as replacing the cable for the bar, I'm gonna have to get online and order something. I was hoping I'd have enough play in the cable that's there, but it is tight and I can't get any more out. I was gonna try to cut the end off, crimp it, and reuse that cable, but that's not gonna be a possibility. So we're just gonna cover this up for now, and then we'll come back in the future after we get some more things and get that fixed. I think that would help a lot with the hard starts because it'll keep it in actual neutral for me instead of off just a little bit. Should help with the creep starts. I don't know if you could see the jerk, the way it pulled itself when we started there, but anyway. So it's a new day, and hopefully we can go do what we set out to do initially, which is get this thing snuck into the old world headquarters building and get some stuff moved around. Let's see if that fixed our issue. I disconnected the battery so we wouldn't have any draws, and I went to pick up, I mean like parasitic draws, I don't mean like the southern phrase for pants, draws. I went to pick up a disconnect switch and they're out when I went to the store the other day. So I had to order one, but we're gonna add a disconnect switch back here so we can just reach back here and give her the old 1-2. Certainly got some activity. Give her just a little bit of that. Maybe start with getting these things we have staged right here pulled out and out of the way. Block right here is going to cause me some grief if I don't get it out of the way. Let's see if we can do something about it. slightly overwhelming sometimes, but it's like that when it's not organized well. We're also going to be making the decision on scrap, sell, keep on some of this stuff. There's a fine line between hoarding and holding on to things that are handy. And I can definitely see myself using some of this steel, these old trampoline frames, this metal, these cages. This is stuff we normally use in the garden to build frames for anything that kind of grows or chases. Things that need to climb. We always utilize this stuff. I use it all the time, actually. So this we're definitely saving. We're gonna make a scrap metal pile outside too. Next week, when I get the truck back together the rest of the way, waiting on one more part still. It's supposed to come in Tuesday. When I get the truck back together the rest of the way, we're gonna start hauling off some scrap metal. Sheet goods is a no-brainer. We use that stuff all the time. I'd like to think that I'd use this base cabinet somewhere, but when? You know? There's a sack full of pulleys though. A fella does love a good pulley. It's been in this barn for at least 10 years, and if I don't get rid of it, it's gonna be in here for another 10. Without a doubt. There. We're committed. Couldn't find a hammer, but we'll build this. I need something for a trash can while I'm doing this. Got this big IBC tote bladder right here. I think that's the ticket. Trash can. Trash. Brake rotors. Oh, we could probably have those turned. They'd be fine, I'm sure. Somebody's gonna tell me that. I don't know exactly what this is, but it's like a sheet of plastic. And I could see myself using a sheet of plastic one day. Put it with the sheet goods. Bunch of race car parts over here. I asked Mike, save them or trash them? He said if they're down there, it's trash. Somebody's gonna send me a message after I post this video and haul it to the dump of how much they would have given me for that. Too late, she gone. If you live in southern Indiana and you know a place where I can pay to dispose of old tires, let me know. I'm having a hard time finding a place around here. So I've got this spot here, which gives me one row behind the working area. Basically I want this whole row where we're working out of the way over here. So we're gonna try to get that tote moved to here, along with our other plywood tote, and then get some other stuff stacked behind it in this same section. Shutting it down every time because she creeps a little, and we're just not in an environment where she can creep around. You know, she can't be free. Not right now. I got some cinder blocks stacked over here that need to be out of the way. Hoping we can get the other one right in here. Tell you what I'm thinking. All this PEX that's just laying down, taking up a bunch of floor space that we don't need. No reason we couldn't lay it up on the wall behind these totes. It's worth mentioning because I can hear you typing from here. We're not setting this up so that it's easy to get in and out with the machine. That's not what we're doing. We're setting this up, trying to get stuff in these totes and somewhat organized so we can continue the work in the basement. And then as that work progresses and we make more space down here, we can pick this stuff up with the machine and move it. This is just storage. This isn't something I need in and out of every day. Round 2. Of course, now we got a thing on the front, or quite a bit longer. You know, with the pallet sticking out the front. Before I kind of talk about it, do it, let's do it. Clear that yet? Yeah, pretty close. Post back there. Very nice. Next, we've got this 460 block end heads. That 460's got a Super Dude. No, that Super Dude's got 460 in it. And at some point when I get caught up on everything I do and I get that stuff called fun money where you get to do cool projects, I want to send that block off to get machined out and build just a obnoxious 460 to eventually drop in that. We're talking years down the line, but she'll last years stored in a beautiful place like this. This is where you save history. Indiana Jones would love to raid this place. You guys watch your head up here, okay? Low clearance. I'll give you some lighting. Nice. I need to keep it cheated this way just a little bit for whenever we sneak around that post, but the way the weight's distributed, we had to pick her up from the opposite side. She's still gonna be kind of wide getting through here. Hopefully we can get that in. That is a diesel engine with a hydraulic pump on it, and we plan on utilizing that to make a diesel wood splitter at some point. I'm hoping nested right in there. We'll take what we can get at this point. And I want to get that tote scooted out and over, and I'd love to get this rack right there. Terrifying, crazy. Here's a tape measure at 9.5 inches. Who the heck's been in my barn? See if we can get this thing, you know what I mean? Just right. That one's in. I think we'll try to shove everything that way on the right. It's not the sturdiest thing I've ever constructed. We'll try to shove everything that way. Maybe we can pivot it. I don't know. I don't know. Oh gosh. I think we might just do this by hand one day instead. I don't know. A little more progress on the world headquarters. As far as when we're going to remove that wall, it's not a priority at all. The big thing is the YouTube yacht right now. Financially, the big thing right now is the YouTube yacht. So the bulk of the money is going to there. We're doing partnerships. I hate partnerships. I don't like it. I don't like them. They make me feel dirty. We may end up doing a few just to help speed this along. Just know if we ever do a partnership, I don't care if you buy it or don't buy it. They just pay decent money for a 30-second ad. So it's kind of hard to pass it up sometimes, especially when you have projects like this. But I just try to avoid it as much as I can. Could be this year, could be next year, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I do know we'll have a video hauling some scrap metal off soon. That's from up at the house and down here, and we'll haul some more junk off down here. I got another empty IBC tote. I'll probably pick up 3 or 4 more. We can start organizing stuff like the Ford parts, the backhoe parts, stuff like that. At least then it'll all be contained and off the floor. Floor is a bold statement. Ground is more accurate. I told you already, siding's in for the YouTube yacht. We're waiting on one part for the 2500 to come in. It's supposed to be here Tuesday. Then we can get that thing buttoned up. We've got the pins and the plating for the compact vibratory roller for the mini excavator. They are in the back of my pickup truck as we speak, so those are in hand. Oh, some parts for that Super Duty actually came in. Yeah, fella might do it. Fella might put some cab lights on there and maybe an exhaust. Take her for a spin. I don't know. It could happen. If it's your first Captain Kleeman video, we don't make content. We just film our lives and then share it with you. I don't like people telling me what I'm allowed to do and not allowed to do, and you have to do that when you do partnerships. You got to be a certain thing and say a certain thing, and well, you sell your soul for it basically. So I'm trying to avoid that. We're just sharing our life, so hopefully you got a little kick out of today's video. If you've been with us for a while, I'm sure you're glad to see a little bit of work done on this thing. And you keep staying with us for a while longer, you'll see some more work. I guarantee it. No, I don't. I don't.